Hello everybody. It's been a while since I made a video, but here it is. And it's a hot button issue, but addressing the foundation of this hot button issue. A lot of people claim that they have rights, claim that other people don't have rights to do certain things. Abortion is one that comes to mind. When it comes to education, what are the rights of the parents when it comes to educating their children, etc. And so we have to ask, well, what are our rights? Where do our rights come from in the first place? Then we can start discussing what rights we have and what rights we don't have. That way we have common ground to begin discussing what the basis is for knowing even if we have these rights in the first place. When I discuss this with my students, they often say that our rights come from the government. I think this is a common idea. And certainly our government grants us certain rights. But is that the only source of our rights? So if a government does not recognize somebody's rights, do they then not have those rights at all? If there's a country where women do not have a right to an education, is it true then that they do not have the right to an education at all? Sometimes people fight for their rights, right? They're saying that the government is not giving them their rights. Well, if the government is the only basis of our rights, then if the government's not giving them the rights, then they don't have those rights, and they have no basis for arguing for them in the first place. And so, like I said, the government definitely grants us rights. So we have these civil rights, these rights that belong to us because they come to us from the government. But in some of our founding documents, we hear that we are created with inalienable rights. And it says they come from God. Is there a basis for saying that we have inalienable rights, even apart from divine revelation? Is there some way that the philosopher can discover it? And the answer is yes. If we look at our common human nature, our common essential nature as humans, and we examine what that is, then that'll reveal to us what our rights are. For example, our right to education. Could that be based on anything apart from just the government giving it to us? And the answer is yes. Our common essential nature is that we are rational animals. We have minds. And as a result, we have a right to an education. We have a right to have that aspect of our being developed to be the best that it can be. And it's the highest part of our being. So it's really a duty on our part as well to get an education if we're at an age where we're responsible for it. One of the interesting things that comes up in discussions about rights is the fact that there are also duties. So if you have a right, then that also means there's a duty on the part of somebody else to grant you that right. And so our right to an education, whose duty is that to fulfill? Well, first of all, parents. The parents are the primary holders of that duty to educate their children. We've created a society where then we can hand that off. We entrust that education to a school district, oftentimes, not all the time. But ultimately, it's the duty of the parents to be responsible for educating their children. Why? Because they have a right to an education. Why do they have a right to an education? Because of that essential nature, that common essential nature of having a mind, of being rational, intelligent creatures. So we look at the nature of something, right, to determine what the rights are. Another example would be that every child comes from a mother and a father. Biologically, it's a fact. That's according to our common essential nature, that's how humans are developed. And so those children have a right to a mother and a father. That means that the parents have a duty to be mothers and fathers to their children. Now, as an adoptive father, I realize it doesn't always happen the way that we want it to. However, that doesn't mean that we can then go and purposely do something outside of that common essential nature that we have. We do the best we can with what we have, but if we purposefully contradict that common essential nature, then we're denying somebody their rights, and we are not living up to our duties to be true to that common essential nature that we have as human beings. Right? And so you even look at the whole reproductive cycle. What is the common essential nature of that? Is to produce life. Right? That is the nature of what those body parts do and what those bodies are made for. And so it seems strange to say that people have a right to an abortion when that goes totally against the common essential nature that we have and what the meaning and the nature of those body parts are. So I hope this has been interesting, the basis of our rights, where they come from, why we have them. And it's those inalienable rights, those common essential nature rights that we have, that then should form the basis for our civil rights, what the government grants. The government shouldn't be granting arbitrary rights. They should be based on the nature of the human person, because it is human persons that we're governing and working for. So please subscribe, share with your friends, and look forward to seeing you again soon.